If you ask me what the most butchered collection of classic games is, I'd say the honor would go to Super Mario 3D All-Stars, but I feel Sonic Origins is a close second. Sonic Origins is a collection of the classic era Sonic games released on June 23rd, 2022. Now, Sonic has been through a lot over the years, and I mean a lot. While there were great games like Sonic Generations, there were absolute dumpster fires like Sonic 06, as well as games that had people split like Unleashed. However, people agree that his best outings were his early 2D classics, which is a sentiment I can agree with. I played so much of the original 2, 3, and Knuckles on the classic collection on the DS. I didn't get a chance to play CD until it was released on the 360, but I still thought it was pretty good. But it sucked that there was no easy way to play them all on one system with a combined version of 3 and Knuckles. You see, 3 and Knuckles were initially meant to be one game, but were split in two due to a McDonald's promotion of all things. So, Sonic 3 was released on February 2nd, 1994 to coincide with the promotion, with Sonic and Knuckles being released on October 18th, later that year. However, the developers still wanted fans to experience them as one game. So with the help of lock-on technology, you were able to experience the game as intended, with it being called Sonic 3 and Knuckles. This is the definitive version of these games, with the most noticeable inclusion being Hypersonic. Not to mention, what fans considered the definitive versions of Sonic 1 and 2 were only released on mobile. These remasters were created by Christian Whitehead, who also made the remastered version of Sonic CD, as well as Sonic Mania. Now, the remastered version of CD was eventually released on consoles to coincide with the release of Sonic 4 Episode 2. Sadly, the remastered versions of 1 and 2 remained in mobile jail. And to add insult to injury, Whitehead was never able to give Sonic 3 and Knuckles the remaster treatment. Granted, he did make a proof of concept, but that's as far as it went. That is until April 20th, 2022, when Sega gave us our first look at Sonic Origins. Not only would it feature the remastered versions of 1, 2, and CD Whitehead developed, but they would be finishing what he started by remastering the combined version of 3 and Knuckles. This got a lot of people excited. The prospect of playing the best versions of these games all on one system? Who wouldn't be? As for me, I'm a simple man. You show me Sonic 3 and Knuckles and I'm in. How could they possibly screw this up? Well, if you're Sega, you mark it at $40, delist the originals from Steam, and release this. But hey, at least it wasn't a limited time release. The general sentiment about this game is that while it is fun, it did not justify the $40 price tag, especially since it felt incomplete between Knuckles not being playable in CD and all the bugs in 3 and Knuckles. And it seemed like that was it with Origins, until March 23rd, 2023, when Sega unveiled an expansion to the game, Sonic Origins Plus. It would have the Game Gear games, Amy Rose as a playable character, new missions, new modes. Surely this expansion means that this game is no longer the embarrassment it was at launch, right? No! The fact that it took an entire year to get stuff that should have been in the base game is just ridiculous. Now originally, this was going to be a review of Sonic Origins as a whole. However, because of this announcement and various things going on in my life, it kind of threw a wrench in everything. If you watched my Switch Sports review, you know I don't like reviewing DLC. I don't like giving developers credit for adding content in that should have been in the game since the beginning, especially if the base game is so shallow. And to have to pay an extra $10 for the expansion? Are you kidding me? But it's being sold for the same price as the original for the people that didn't buy it already? With all the DLC? Way to piss off the people that bought the original even more. So I figured, hey, why not turn it into a shorter video, talking about my main gripes with the original and the expansion. Especially since my Frontiers review is still a ways off, and I don't want another dog like last time. Seriously? You guys think I can afford that long of a gap between uploads? Now, I do plan on covering 1, 2, CD, and 3 and Knuckles sometime in the future, so you don't have to worry about that. As I said earlier, part of the appeal of this expansion are the inclusion of the Game Gear games. But from what I can tell, they aren't making any improvements to them. At least with 1, 2, and CD, there were already improvements, so very little had to be done there. But with the Game Gear games, it looks like there aren't any. We can't even play them in widescreen? Is that some kind of joke? The only way we can play them is with this weird border surrounding them, which doesn't even reach the height of the screen? Sega, how did you go backwards so quickly? You did this fine with the games you've already imported. You have to make improvements to these games if you want me to buy them. If you aren't making any improvements, why shouldn't I just emulate them? They'll probably run better and I won't have to deal with that weird border. Come on, there's even a fan remake of Triple Trouble. Why shouldn't I play that version over the one in Origins? Not to mention, they aren't even releasing the definitive version of these games. If you haven't noticed already, some of these games suffer from massive screen crunch, making some of them nearly unplayable. But there is a superior version of some of these games released on the Sega Master System that gets rid of this issue. So the question is, why bring over the inferior version of these games? It makes no sense! For a collection that is marketed as being the definitive way to play these games, they aren't doing that good of a job at it. There aren't even any new animated cutscenes for these games? That was one of the best parts of this thing! You didn't even include Knuckles Chaotix? Come on, that's a crime in and of itself! I'm pretty sure they won't even add any other characters to play as in these games, with the only ones being playable being those that are already in the game, which is baffling since a big selling point of this version is playing as Amy. But I'm not surprised. They didn't even bother adding Knuckles into CD, and probably never will. Are you kidding me? And apparently, they're also going to be fixing some of the bugs in 3 and Knuckles. Although, I would hold out hope. They already fixed the laundry list of bugs, and the game still has issues. The only thing that has me and everyone a bit excited is playing as Amy, but I'm worried if and how they're gonna screw it up since they screwed up what should have been a home run with this entire collection. In my mind, there are only 2 reasons to buy Origins Plus: to play as Amy or to own the physical edition. Well, I admit, the physical edition does look cool. That means you'll be listening to the botched music from 3 and Knuckles. For comparison's sake, here's the original Supersonic theme. And here's what Sega thought was a suitable replacement fit for human ears. Thank God mods exist. If you didn't buy the original version of Origins and really want to play as Amy, then wait for something like the Steam Summer Sale where you can get it at a discount. But for everyone else, I suggest emulating the games in this collection. Especially if you bought the original version of Origins. But let me know what you guys think. Are you getting the expansion, or are you going to skip out of it like I am? Let me know down below. The next game I'll be reviewing is Sonic Frontiers, which, oh boy, it's going to be interesting to say the least.